Hi guys, this is Rose from Little Miss Rose and welcome back to my channel. So we're doing June, plan with me. Here I got this brand new Kiki K pencil case this week. Kiki K is actually closing down in New Zealand, so I picked this up for half price. And inside I've organised the supplies that I'm going to be using for this month. And those include a selection of Tombows, some Staedtler pigment liners, pencil, washi tape, may or may not use the compass, and that's about it for this month. I'm keeping it really simple. So let's begin. So no one actually suggested a theme for me this month, so I really struggled. But in the end, I decided I'll just draw some flowers and maybe throw a butterfly in there and see what happens. As you can see, I've already drafted up my cover page for June, and I'm going to use my favourite Staedtler pigment liners to ink this in. All of the supplies I use in this video will be listed in the description below, so make sure you check it out. Now for my drawing, I'm using the thicker pen, so I think that's a 0.5 to do the butterfly. When it comes to the flowers, I do the finer detail with the thinnest pen I own, which is a 0.3 pen, and then I like to do the outlines of the flowers or the petals with a thicker pen. Initially you'll see I used a 0.4 and decided it wasn't quite thick enough, so went around that again with a thicker pen. So for this cover page, I've obviously got a butterfly and a few flowers, and I've decided to keep them black and white. So here we have a thinner pigment liner, the 0.3, which I use for the details of the flowers. Now for the flowers, I tend to get inspiration from Pinterest, so if you want to see what sort of flowers I look at when I'm drawing, you can click on the link below. I'll link my Pinterest and I'll have a board where I've just pinned photos of pretty flowers, and I tend to just scroll through and find a simple flower that I think I'll be able to draw and use that as a reference when I draw my flowers. So I'm using the thin pen here to add some shading. I'm just following the curve of the flower with very thin lines, and it just adds a bit of detail to the flower. So this month, since we're getting back to normal life now here in New Zealand, we're at level 2 currently, and I'm back to work. My kids are back to school. I'm doing an almost full setup for the month. I'm not doing a habit tracker this month, basically because I'm running low on pages and I've got just enough pages to fit in the month of June in my notebook. So this will be the last month in this notebook. Next month, with my plan with me, I'll be migrating into a brand new journal. I'm looking forward to sharing that one with you. It's a new journal that I've never used before, so we'll do a bit of a pen test and see how that works out for us. Right, so for my lettering this month, I'm going to be a bit lazy and not actually do lettering myself. So I did this last month, but I didn't actually film it for you, so I thought maybe this month I'd film it so you see exactly how I do it. Now what I've done is I've picked out a font that I liked. Can't remember what this is called, but all I did was print it out in the size that I wanted, and I use Procreate to do this. You could probably just use Microsoft Word or whatever you have on hand. And I've cut it out, and then I'm going to place it on top of my paper where I want the lettering. I'm going to tape it down with some washi tape, and then I will use a pencil and I will just go over the outline really hard a few times with my pencil, and what it does is it will create an indentation onto my page in the notebook, and when I lift this scrap of paper away, I'll be able to see that indentation and I'll be able to trace it and fill it in. Now I'm only doing it this way because I'm using an Archer and Olive notebook, and the pages are 160 GSM, so they're really thick. There's no way I'll be able to trace anything, and so this is how I get around it. Now if you're using a thin notebook where you can see through the pages, just slip your piece of printed paper underneath and trace it. So you may need to move your notebook around a bit or change your lighting in order to see the indentation to trace over once you've finished with the scrap piece of paper, but it should be there, and it gives you a professional looking hand lettered heading, just like this. So now I'm just going to add pops of colour to my pages using my Tombows. So I'm just drawing hand drawn circles and I'm going to fill them in with the Tombow pen. Now I decided to use the small felt tip pen here to fill it in because I thought it might look less streaky than if I used the brush end, but turns out I was wrong and it took ages, but oh well, lesson learned. And that is my June cover page. Really love how it turned out. Actually, it looked better than I thought it would. So now that we're back to normal, I have a full 2-page calendar spread, which is what I normally go for. I actually have appointments and plans and stuff to fill this in this month, which is great. So starting off with another butterfly. Now I haven't used any reference photos for the butterflies. I figured all it needs really is a thin body, some antennae and wings, 4 lots of wings. The top one's always a bit bigger than the bottom ones, and as long as they're symmetrical, I think it doesn't really matter what or how you fill them in. And again, I use reference photos from Pinterest for my flowers. So I'm not actually sure what kind of flowers these are. They might be gardenias. So tell me, how are you guys? Are you in lockdown? Where in the world are you? I know it's crazy, scary times out there, and I've got lots of friends from around the world, and a lot of them are still in lockdown, staying at home, wondering when it will end. I think we've been very, very lucky here in New Zealand with how we've dealt with it, and we're almost back to normal. I mean, we're still social distancing, keeping well away from other people, washing hands a million times a day. My boys, who are in primary school, are made to wash their hands every 45 minutes. But, you know, life is back to normal for us, which is lovely. But on saying that, I have missed lockdown. I've missed hanging out at home with my boys and my husband and just spending quality time with them and enjoying a slower lifestyle. We've saved lots of money since we've not been eating out or anything like that, which is great for us, and we've been really blessed in that both me and my husband have kept our jobs and we were able to work throughout lockdown, working from home. So tell me, how are you? Let me know. If you need to vent, make sure you do. You can always find me on Instagram or send me an email. I'm always here to listen. So again, this month I'm taking the easy route and I'm using stickers for the dates. I think I mentioned last month that June is my birthday month, and I am super pleased that June starts with the first on a Monday. I think all months should start like that. So here I'm just going to use a Tombow Fudenosuke pen to do a little quote at the bottom. My quote says, "She was chaos and beauty intertwined." I think it kind of reflects my theme this month. It's kind of flowers here and there and a bit of colour splashed about. So that's my simple calendar spread. And I'll put all my tasks and appointments in there later. So my next spread is a meal tracker, and it's just going to track our dinner meals. So I used to do this every month last year, and I found it really useful because I'd get to a point with cooking dinner every night that I'd just rotate the same 4 or 5 meals all the time, and it just gets really boring. And we eat seasonally, so my meals would change. So now that it's coming on to winter here, I can look back into the winter spreads from last year and see what sort of meals that we ate. So it sort of jogs my memory, and then we try something old but new, if that makes sense. So it just gets a bit of variety into our dinner meals, and it helps me with meal planning. I feel as an adult I'm just constantly thinking about the next meal and buying for the next meal and cooking the next meal, and it is just a pain in the ass. Does anyone else feel that way? Oh, and also you see those 3 letters across the top of my meal tracker. The R is for me, Rose, A for my husband, Adrian, and the O is for out, eating out. So if I cooked, I'll give it a tick under that column. If my husband cooked, I'll give it a tick. And if we ate out, I'll give that a tick, just to see sort of who's cooking or if we're spending money on food outside at a quick glance. I can tell you right now, I'll get the most ticks. And my next spread is a spending log or spending tracker. Now that we're back out in the real world, I want to start keeping track of where I'm spending my money again. Now, we were really good in lockdown and didn't spend hardly any money. Like, I never bought a coffee at all because we couldn't. And I'm trying really hard to not fall back into that habit so that we keep saving money. And that is basically it for this month. My next spread that I'm going to create for you is actually my first weekly log for June. Like I said, I don't have much room in this journal to fit anything else, but at the same time I'm trying to keep it simple and just using what works for me. And at this point, since we're just going back to work and getting back to normal, I'm going to keep it simple for myself. I'm not going to try and track any funny things or do a gratitude log or anything like that. I'm going to keep it all within my weeklies. So as you can see here, I've split each page into 2 columns. So I've got 4 days on a double page spread. So my weekly is actually going to cover 4 pages. I really like this spread. I've been doing it for the past 2 weeks in May, and I found that each column gives me enough room to list my daily tasks or appointments, and also note down what I've eaten for the day, and also leaves me with a bit of room to journal or take notes about the day, which is great. But at the same time, it just gives me a bit more white space and my pages don't look overly cluttered, which I really love. So I've got a weekly habit tracker on this page, as well as a little calendar, and at the bottom of my columns I've just got a water tracker, so 3 little water drops. Each water drop represents a bottle of water, so I'm going to try and drink 3 bottles of water a day. I know I should probably drink 4, but I never can, otherwise I'm on the toilet 24/7. Anyway, so on the second half of my weekly spread, I will have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the last column is a column just for tasks that I need to check off in this week. If I don't have a day to actually put it in, then I'll just stick it in this list at the end. And that's it for my weekly spread, and I'll be using that layout for the rest of the month. And here's a quick flip through. So I hope you've enjoyed my plan with me. It's been short but sweet, I think. I've really loved how it's turned out, and I've loved the colours that I've used. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you haven't, please subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you, and I'll see you again next month. Bye!